fun begins.
How's it going?
Hello.
Well,
Greetings, young Jedi.
hello there.
Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and today we are taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series Phase 2 Clone Commander Cody as he appears in Revenge of the Sith on some very special packaging. This is the first available of what's going to be 5 we know of, technically 6 so far, of the Revenge of the Sith 20th Anniversary Wave. Upcoming we have an R2-D2, a 501st clone, Count Dooku, and Kit Fisto, and then unannounced there is a Magna Guard, which we've seen pop up on eBay, but Hasbro hasn't talked about yet, leading us to believe there might be a second wave of these. But this Commander Cody got announced way before any of the others, so here he is, about a month before the others are expected to show up. So we're getting just our first little tease of Revenge of the Sith 20th Anniversary here, which I'm just really excited for. Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorite Star Wars movies, and Commander Cody, albeit not a huge part of it, is in it, and it is where he originates from, and I have wanted a better version of this character for a long time. If you look back there, I actually have a custom made by Skywalker Hendrix because the Archive and the Blue Line one was just not good enough. But as far as mass-produced toys go, this might be the Cody for me. So let's get into it and see what we get here. Alright, taking a look at the packaging, this is not your standard Black Series packaging. This is actually very reminiscent to the Revenge of the Sith packaging all the way back in 2005. Fun fact, Commander Cody actually never came out in this packaging, as I've been told. He was available in the 2006 figure lineup, but he never quite made the 05 figure lineup. So they kind of had to get creative here and use a picture of Cody, which probably would have been what they used back in the day, but they had to go fresh here. So it's Clone Commander Cody, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Nice picture of Cody holding the Emperor hologram. Got a warning, got a big bubble showing Cody and his accessories off nicely. It's a very curved, rounded bubble. Would be really cool to get signed by Tem, probably, though. Would be really neat. You have a Vader helmet up above the flames in the background with the Battle of the Heroes going on in the reflection. Really, really cool stuff. Bottom's got some barcode and legal stuff. Around back, picture of Cody, movie logo, name again, and then not a bio of the character, but just saying celebrate the anniversary of the movie with a picture of the toy. Bunch of legal stuff, Disney and Hasbro. Very familiar action figure packaging terminology. Just a new flavor of box. I like this. Kind of makes me feel sentimental of the toys of old. I wasn't really into figure collecting at this point. I never saw Star Wars until 07, so I'm really sentimental for the 30th anniversary, like coin figures packaging. But I've seen a lot of these kind of figures at yard sales and flea markets, so I'm familiar with it, and I do love this very much. Here's Commander Cody ripped from that card back very violently. No saving that, but that's okay. I do intend to pick up another one at some point to keep on card, but for now, we're going to talk about the new one. He comes with a couple of accessories, some you would expect, one really cool. So let's go ahead and start working through them. For starters, he comes with the standard Clone Trooper DC-15 blaster, looking really good. Why are we not focusing here? Come on. There we go. There we go. Brought her into focus. And it is in that kind of like dark gray, almost black, but it is kind of more of a gray color. That's okay. Seen this accessory a number of times. Very firm plastic, and it's good. I'm okay with that. Then, it's kind of an accessory, but he comes with his helmet, which looks excellent. Has a very nice shade of orange going on for the visor, and the white plastic looks good as always. You have the blue lines going on each cheek. This one is very clean. This one, mine kind of got smushed together a little bit, but it is what it is. Nice gunmetal gray for the antennas on the sides, and the little forehead lamp is all white. And yeah, just looks really good. Can't wait to see what we're going to say is wrong with this one, but I think it looks rather nice. It's a removable helmet, of course, so it does just push onto the head like so, although we will come back and talk about the head in a little bit. And then, for a really fun accessory, although one that's just very slightly annoying, is the Darth Sidious Order 66 hologram. And this is a phenomenal accessory. It looks really, really good. It is in a clear plastic with just a touch of blue, which really, really does match the coloring for a hologram fairly well. If you get really close on it, you see that it is completely covered in these sculpted lines, right? So it very much does look like a hologram, and just very, very well recreated effect. No lighting or anything, but it catches the light nicely. Has a sculpted holo projector disc on the bottom, painted very nice. The one thing And I'm not a guy who's always like, I need swappable hands. I need swappable hands. I've been pretty adamant because that usually jacks up the cost. In this case, I really wish we had gotten one swappable, dedicated hand that was just in a open position, because Cody has two trigger finger hands, and to put that in his hand for him to be holding it, and I'll pre-pose it a little bit just to look halfway like the movie does, you really have to just jam it in there, stretch those fingers way out, and you see he looks okay, like holding it, like it's fine, but, you know, we're going to leave it in for just a second, and now we're going to take it out, and now that hand is just stuck open. It's going to, because it was only there for a second, it will reclose, but it's like, I just kind of wish that we didn't have to brute force it so much, because it's an excellent accessory, and I just know that if I leave him on the shelf holding it, that hand's going to pretty permanently hold that shape after some time. So that's slightly annoying, but I'm not gonna harp on it too much. It just is what it is, and I'm glad to get a little above and beyond. Let's be fair, though. This is what we're here, and oh boy, does he look good. I've seen just some very nitpicky stuff, but generally it's here. Generally, this is a good 23 body Commander Cody. I'll get into what I remember hearing is wrong. And the only thing that I noticed on my own without being told is that he doesn't have his scar. Commander Cody is just using the plain old clone trooper head. He does not have the red scar going down the side of his face. I wouldn't have required them to sculpt it, but if you're going to do a removable helmet, come on, Hasbro, just give me a little red slash, just give me something going on here. And they just didn't do anything at all. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice Tem likeness. We've seen this sculpt before, but like, just a little bit let down on that. However, and I said it myself, while that sucks, this is how he's staying on the shelf, even if he had that scar. So it's like, it doesn't really ruin it for me, but it's just like, if you're going to do it right, I've seen some people note, apparently he's missing a gray stripe on the bicep. I kind of never noticed the gray stripe, so I'm not going to harp there. But otherwise, he looks very, very nice. He has a very nice orange color to him. It seems very Revenge of the Sith accurate. 212 Hunter and I have had discussions before, so I know some Cody details. But here he is next to the Clone Wars packaging 212th Trooper. And a gripe on this is this guy's a little more yellow instead of the orange from the movie. I kind of think orange is orange, but this one is a little bit darker than what Hasbro's been using for the 212th lately. And so I feel that is going to please some people, which is good. He has a very clean appearance, except for some deco they've added to the chest to simulate some of the wear and tear that he's got going on in the chest plate. It's a little bit jarring when you see the chest going on and nothing anywhere else, except of course they've added scratches like the paint, everywhere else. So it's like, it's just like, why deco it at all if you're not going to do it anywhere or anywhere else? I've seen calls for, like doing the whole figure. I'm actually kind of in the camp of just don't do it on the chest, and leave it maybe a little more Clone Wars looking than anything, but I'd be okay with that. He does have some white scuffing going on the shoulder pads, which is actually paint because the shoulder pads are just orange plastic. So it's like, it just feels kind of like a half measure. And again, I'm not going to drag him through the mud on it, but it's it's like, why do it somewhere and not everywhere else? But that aside, there are some new sculpted pieces here, one more than I even thought we were going to have. So there's a new chest overlay, of course, because you have to have your rank badge, and that allows for the jetpack to be on the back, which is a glued-on piece. This is just a glued-on from factory piece. There's a new bicep going on to have the sculpted-on brass-colored strap with whatever this thing is. I bet 212 Hunter could tell us in the comments. And then there are two newly sculpted shoulder pads, because Commander Cody's shoulder pads are a different shape than any other clone troopers and features the shoulder-mounted antenna. And then you might think, like, okay, other than that, everything's the same. There's also a new clone trooper belt, which even though it has all the same pouches that you've seen in all the other ones, if you look right there, there's actually a peg hole for a lightsaber. He has the peg hole to carry Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber hilt from that brief time in Revenge of the Sith where he lost it battling General Grievous. Not gonna lie, I wouldn't have required a blade. I kind of wish they would have thrown the hilt in as well, just because it's like, it's there. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, I don't have a Obi-Wan Kenobi hilt on hand because all of my prequel Obi-Wans, the pegs have broken off the sabers, so I've had to glue the blades onto the hilts, so I don't have any removables to stand by or anything. But I do like that they've offered that feature. Probably not how I display him, but still just a cool option. Otherwise, he's kind of what you would expect. We've seen a few clones on this base body, just with some new pieces he's added, of course. So he's kind of just a white clone trooper with orange knee pads and, gray stripes on the forearms and the diagonal stripe there. I feel like I've called out the inaccuracies, but I also just generally like what's here. And I gotta say, don't get me wrong. You want a perfect Commander Cody? I have that custom in the back I talked about. But, I think for something... Oh, sorry, bumped the tripod. I think for something that is, just in the toy aisle at Walmart, I think this is perfectly adequate, and I'm ultimately really happy with it. Because this isn't, this is your just mass-produced toy line stuff. I feel like they've done a lot more than certain clones get, and I'm okay with that, too. So I don't know. I'm not, over the moon, but I am really happy to have a Commander Cody, and I gotta say, I don't have the Archive or the Blue Line anymore. They were actually used for parts to make that custom, but I would definitely be getting rid of it and replacing it with this, no doubt. There's a great balance of articulation with looks here, and just this guy just looks oh so good. I gotta say, I do really like this guy. I'm not trying to stick on the couple of inaccuracies, kind of just acknowledging them, because I do actually really like how this action figure turned out, and I am excited to use him for some photography. We're starting to warm up here in Ohio, so we're gonna see about taking him and some other clones out and about and get some on adventure pictures. I've done a lot with the 501st. Maybe it's time for a 212th session. But anyway, I guess we'll run through some articulation. We've got a couple of new things going on here. Should ultimately be a 23 clone at the core, though, but should have the double balled neck, which allows him to look that far up, that far down. You can bring him up to a T-pose with a pretty good front and back butterfly joint with a 360 at the shoulder. The shoulder pads are on a peg on a ring, which should travel with the upper arm joint, which should be good. You have a upper bicep swivel, which rotates, single jointed elbows, which go a little past 90, and then you have a swivel at the elbow, although it's a little bit tight, and the bicep swivel's turning easier, so it kind of just negates it, so that's okay. He has 360 degrees at the wrist, with the left hinging in and out, and the right hinging up and down. There's a mid-torso ball joint, which allows him to crunch that far forward, that far back, and some side-to-side, and pivot, which is nice. He can do that far splits, which is pretty good. There's a upper thigh swivel, so it has to be a good figure, but it's just because it's a little bit dated, but that's okay. He has single jointed knees, which go past 90 by a little bit, and then swivel at the knee, which is nice. And then the feet can point pretty far down, pretty far forward, and there's a forward-facing pin for rocker. So all in all, it is everything you might expect from a new 23 clone body sculpt, and he looks good doing it. To do a couple of comparisons, here he is next to the absolutely dreadful 2017 Phase 2 Captain Rex. Hasbro, please let this be your next Clone Commander redo. Please. Here he is next to that Clone Wars Phase 2 Clone Trooper, and then here he is next to the Clone Wars Obi-Wan and the Ahsoka series Anakin, which is very recently out. So all in all, I do really like how he scales here. He's right at 6 inches, right about where everyone else is, and that works really good. And hopefully we can update this a little later on this year with the new Anakin and Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith, assuming those rumors that have been going for a few years now are real. I really hope they are. I can't do it with those old figures anymore. So at the end of the day, what do I think of the new Commander Cody? I'm going to be honest, I really like it. I know I kind of talked a little bit more about some detractors. It's hard to talk about the 23 clone body, again, after all these years. There's been, oh man, I've probably reviewed this figure 20 times with different paint, And so it's I'm not trying to stick on that. But there's just a couple of deco things that aren't there, and you gotta acknowledge it. And then it's how many times can I say, I like the clone body, It's just, it should be known if you've been around for a minute. I do, in fact, love the 23 clone body. I love everything about this. I like the removable helmet gimmick, I like everything going on here. I just, probably the one that I think is the most real complaint is probably wanting a swappable left hand to accurately hold that Emperor hologram. But it works. It is what it is. I think that Emperor hologram is a beautifully done accessory. Like, that thing is crazy. I love it. The retro packaging is really fun. Almost made me sad to tear it off the card, but that's okay. We'll get another one to hang on the wall here sooner rather than later. But yeah, he's a really, really cool figure. One that I think is good to be coming out now. It's a great time to be a Revenge of the Sith fan. Getting lots of Revenge of the Sith love this year. I also like how they waited a while to do another Commander Cody. I mean, if it had happened on the 2020 sculpt, it would have been okay. It would have been an improvement. But I think this 23 sculpt is pretty definitive. It's probably here to stay for some time, and I think that it was just the right time to do this figure. So, good job, Hasbro. Generally happy with it. Probably going to call this one a 7.5 out of 10. There could be a couple things to make it better, but it's not a bad figure by any stretch. One that I'm super happy to stick on the shelf. So, that's all for now. Thanks a bunch for watching. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that end of video stuff. You've been on YouTube for a minute. I'm sure you know what to do. Everyone says to do it, so go to it. And I will see you next time. So until then, may the Force be with each and every one of you, and goodbye.